Hey everybody, Felix Finch here, Frisco Flame, and I've been a little MIA. Sorry for the past 2 months or so. I've been dealing with a slight case of father's dead, so I've been a little behind on stuff. So I apologize. I'm sorry, um, but in that time, I've taken some time off from watching wrestling videos and got into some of my other hobbies. I'm still doing Underground Lucha things. I have episodes recorded. Need to get the editing out of the way. I've just been in a funk. But hey, you know what? I wanted to drop a Christmas surprise on y'all. So this is a different type of video. I really love history videos, and there's a trend of historians reacting. So kind of as a wrestling historian and wrestling journalist myself, I wanted to take a look at some of these things and see how they are. Now, for this first video, I'm going to take a look at Dave Knows Wrestling's most recent video, 7 indie wrestlers you need to check out. I am a huge fan of Dave. I've met him before. I consider him a friend. He's based out here on the East Coast, so I'm really wondering if that's going to paint his perception of which indie wrestlers you need to check out, because despite the territories being gone, this is still pretty a territorial system. A lot happening on the East Coast with Beyond, the Limitless. You get a little further south. Obviously, you have the entire Orlando territory where AEW is running in Georgia, and the Mid Atlantic. You have the Chicagoland territory, Chicago and Indianapolis, kind of split that scene with St. Louis in there. You've got the entire Texas scene, and then you've got like the Pacific Division as well. So I'm curious if he's going to get a good selection of people from all over the country, or if this is going to be really East Coast based. So we will see. So without further ado, let's go on to 7 indie wrestlers you need to check out from Dave Knows Wrestling. As always, it will be in the description, so you can go watch this video yourself. Give him some views. Give him some likes. Again, someone I deeply admire, so let's take a look.
There's a lot to learn when it comes to independent wrestling. There's so many misconceptions, there's so many independent wrestlers, but it's so worth the time. Now, I will admit that true independent wrestling can be somewhat hard to find. If only there was some kind of roadmap to help navigate through to find some of the very best independent wrestling talent out there. Well, fortunately, that's the topic of this episode, because today...
Before he goes into it, I will say, IWTV. In fact, you can use code FriscoFlame to get 5 days free on IWTV, which is independent wrestling television. It used to be known as Powerbomb.tv. It's a great resource. You want to go find some talent, and I'm sure the talent you're going to be hearing about today, you can find some of their matches there. Like outside of YouTube, IWTV is the best place for independent wrestling in general, and also and including. Do check out their original content. They recently did The Masked Wrestler, which has been a phenomenal show. They have Camp Leapfrog, hosted by Sam Laterna. Great things to check out, all on independentwrestling.tv.
This episode comes to you as a result of the polls over on Patreon, where supporters just like Alan Jolie, Baba Yaga, and Rick Rec got the opportunity to vote on what kind of content they wanted to see on this channel going forward. And as the results of one of these polls, you guys voted to learn more about independent wrestling. And so I decided to compile a list, which is in no particular order, of wrestlers who I feel deserve the spotlight. And when I'm talking about independent wrestlers, I really do mean independent, because that is one misconception I do want to clarify. As has been pointed out on this very channel by FriscoFlame.
Dude!
And
that's... Oh! Oh, that... Oh, that's beautiful. I had no idea that was coming up. That's amazing. Yeah, you want to see FriscoFlame? There I am right there. One of my favorite shots, actually, that was from Hood Slam. Absolutely loved that show, so I'm gonna have to go back a bit to find out what his sentence was. But yeah, thanks for throwing me in there, Dave. I love you for that. I'm gonna shoot you a text.
I do want to clarify. As has been pointed out on this very channel by FriscoFlame, an independent wrestler has to work independently, as there are a lot of fans out there who think that an independent wrestler is just someone who doesn't work for WWE, which is definitely not the case. So, as amazing as AEW contracted wrestlers are, like Jack Evans, they won't be qualifying for today's list. And speaking of today's list...
Oh,
this is my video.
You see, as a creator myself,
well,
I don't disable ads, so
like this?
You'll see ads pop up occasionally. Darius Carter, solid one. Solid choice.
Darius Carter, wrestling's richest prize, is definitely one of the premier talents in all of the industry. He has been the BCW World Champion for over 750 days, as well as winning the Warriors of Wrestling Championship and the Ace Diamond Division Championship. Overall, he is a 15-time champion throughout his career, with 6 of those being legitimate World Championships won and defended in the United Kingdom. Now, on a backstage note, the Allfather has definitely rubbed some people the wrong way, as there are those who see his confidence as ego. But despite that, personally, I've always gone along with Darius, and I eventually found out why. At shows, whenever Darius shows up to the venue, he always comes in wearing a well-pressed suit. Then he takes it off, changes into his ring gear, and then after the match, he gets cleaned up and goes right back into the suit. And now, as far as I tie into this, well, I always show up to shows wearing a suit myself. I don't wear sweatpants and then get changed into my suit when it's time to go on air. I just come dressed for work. And Darius noticed this right away, and that's the kind of thing he respects because that's the kind of attention to detail that he has. And just like how Darius can appreciate that, I appreciate that when it comes to Mr. Carter, it's not a matter of ego, it's simply wrestling's richest prize, knowing exactly what he's worth.
Alright, so he went into Darius Carter there. Very professional dude, and of course, wearing a suit to the ring, wearing a suit to the venue, not a thing a lot of independent wrestlers do. Something you absolutely do on the professional stages, at least in professional sports. You know, if you ever watch soccer, or as the rest of the world correctly calls it, football, they arrive in suits. If you watch the NBA, they arrive in suits. If you watch MLB, they arrive in suits. If you watch the NHL, they arrive in suits. We are professional athletes. Why should we not be professional in the same sense? And I also wanted to throw in a bonus thing. He showed on some of Darius Carter's footage. You saw there at the bottom where it said, titlematchnetwork.com for streaming. That is another absolutely fantastic site for wrestling. Especially check out the Ladies Night Out series. If you're a fan of women's wrestling, the Ladies Night Out series is definitely for you. Has a lot of talent, some of whom you've seen on AEW, on Impact, on WWE.
Next up, we have Smiley, who is definitely my favorite masked wrestler on the independent scene. Smiley has one of the most expansive arsenals in the entire wrestling business, and maybe that's because, well, there's more than one wrestler underneath that mask. Metaphorically speaking, depending on which exact Smiley you get, he might start out as loving good time having goofball, or he can turn into that serious, brutal luchador who's ready to kick you straight in the head. You really never can tell. And take it from me, someone who has tried to interview Smiley, it's really hard to get a straight answer out of him because, well, there's 15 different personalities in his head, all trying to talk at the same time. Also, in terms of his pedigree, Smiley trained at the House of Glory under Amazing Red and BXL. He is also the very first student to ever hold the House of Glory World title. In addition, he has also won the UWA Elite Trios Championship, the GCW Extreme title, Pro Wrestling Magic's Tag Team Championship with Everett Cross, and he has also won the Forza Lucha Cup, as well as also getting the whole tag team gold with another indie favorite of mine, Juba.
Okay, going into Smiley there. Smiley has a great career ahead of him, especially for the fact that Dave mentioned. Smiley is somebody who's able to change his style on the fly and adapt to his environment. You have great technical wrestlers out there. You know, you've got your Jonathan Greshams, who's contracted with ROH. You've got, obviously people like Daniel Bryan, people like, even people like Shayna Baszler, like Asuka. You've got people who are these fantastic technical machines. You've got these people out there who are fantastic lucha machines. But when you can switch on the fly, when you can go into each match in a different way, that is invaluable. He is useful to literally any company that wants him.
An absolutely wonderful gentleman who's appeared on this very channel before, Corey Castle has had an amazing career in the pro wrestling game. He's already talked about it on here previously, so go ahead and check that out afterwards. But as for nowadays, Corey Castle has been doing a lot of work for H2O Undiscovered. Also, Corey has been venturing outside of the world of wrestling, doing stand-up comedy and having his own podcast called Evolving with Corey Castle. And he also acts, starring in the title role of the awesome independent film called Bruce, which is a total mind blow that you could check out right here on YouTube. Furthermore, he also has an up-and-coming film called Not For Nothing, and if it's anywhere near as good as Bruce, I am definitely gonna be in.
Okay. Now, Corey Castle's a guy I really only know from his House of Glory work, but if he's already doing some acting stuff, I have not checked out that YouTube movie. I will definitely have to give it a look. And we're halfway through the video about, and I'm already seeing, there's a lot of East Coast talent here. So if things don't shift a little further west, I'll throw in some bonus entries at the end of my own accord.
Next, please give it up for the GOAT, the GOATest of all time, Bobby Orlando. This talented individual makes his way down to the ring accompanied by Bobby Jr., his plush goat pal. But don't let this cute toy fool you, as a stuffed animal can sometimes make for a pretty innocent looking concealment to hide a blunt object. Not saying that Bobby would ever be responsible for that kind of thing, but I'm just pointing out that despite his quirky and eccentric exterior, sometimes being as crazy as a fox really means being as clever as a goat. Furthermore, Bobby Orlando was trained at the Create A Pro Wrestling Academy, where he has been a Create A Pro Tag Team Champion twice as a member of the Shook Crew, and in Catalyst Wrestling, he is known as one of the hot boys in alongside Casey Navarro and Lucky 13. And as for me, I just think Bobby's absolutely hysterical, especially when he takes the time out of his entrance to just walk over and say hi to me on his way to the ring.
All right, with Bobby Orlando, again, we're staying on the East Coast here. So I'll add more. I'll definitely have to add more at the end. But yeah, Create A Pro, Brian Myers' place over in Long Island, outstanding place to get trained. That's where MJF came from. In fact, he talked about Shook Crew. You might have heard Smart Mark Sterling, who you've seen on AEW with MJF. Just outstanding. And yeah, Bobby Orlando, not your traditional kind of body guy, but again, if you can get over, if you can get clever, if you can buy into your gimmick 100%, that'll just get you so far. Let's move on with Tristan Law.
Another familiar face on the show is Tristan Law. Now, Tristan has trained with the Dudley Boys in Florida back in 2007, as well as being a trainee with Nunzio, Richie Ron, and Preacher. Not only has Tristan trained with the greats, but he has also faced off against them as well, getting into the ring with numerous WWE legends and veterans of the industry, such as Jim Neidhart, Balls Mahoney, and Tony Atlas. His first big match was in 2012 in the Brooklyn Cyclones Stadium in Brooklyn, New York, against Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Nikita Koloff, and Tito Santana. And this kind of matchup really does make a whole lot of sense, since Tristan has a really great old school kind of work ethic, as he deliberately wears white boots when he's in the ring, that way everyone can see just how meticulously clean he keeps them. But even though he's so old fashioned that he can fit inside of a lowball glass, he has still gone toe to toe with some modern talent too, such as Damian Priest. And he also gives back, as he regularly extends his knowledge onto students of the ECPW Wrestling School. And if you want to know more about Tristan, you can just hear from the man himself on his podcast, The Tristan Law Show, which can be found at tristanlawshow.com and numerous other podcasting platforms, with new episodes coming out on Wednesdays.
By the way, I absolutely love this headshot. It reminds me of like a CW or UPN sort of pitch. Like, I think that this guy is about to have a center role, starring role in a sitcom. The way this is framed, it's a great shot. I've just got to say that on a media standpoint. Another thing, talking about Tristan Law there, again, we're staying on the East Coast, but so I'm actually going to pitch to Dave that he needs seven West Coast wrestlers you need to check out, because I noticed the next guy is called the Meadowlands Monster, and that's over in New Jersey, but with Tristan Law, yeah, the white boots thing. That's exactly why I don't wear white boots, is because I don't like keeping them clean. One of my trainers loved the idea of having me in white boots, and I never pulled the trigger on it because I just thought that would be such a pain day in and day out. However, yeah, the old school styling, especially if you're deliberate in your movements, if you find a style that suits you, by all means do it, commit to it. Like, I know there's a big argument over whether old school or new school is better. Honestly, it's whatever you can work best. So let's move on to Meadowlands Monster.
Next up, we have the biggest man on this list, the Meadowlands Monster. As of this recording, he is the longest reigning Dark Arts champion at Pro Wrestling Magic with a reign of over 600 days. And that's definitely not surprising because really, who's gonna stop him? He's easily laid waste to numerous opponents over the course of his career, and if he already wasn't intimidating enough, he's also aligned with Zach Amico and the Hudson County Horror Show, which only works to add a ton of weight to the huge fear factor that he already has going for him.
Okay, yeah. So he mentions that, yeah, the dude's 7 foot tall, and as we all know, you can't teach that. You know, you're building someone strong. Hopefully that means that they are going to use him to build their next person along. It's always interesting to see how you end these super long title runs. And if you saw, there was a little clip, Dave in there at Capital Wrestling, because he obviously has to get his home promotion in there. But I think this should be the last person on the list, Colossal Mike Law. So we're sticking with the big guys now.
And last but certainly not least, we have Colossal Mike Law. Now, I've already done the Dave Knows Wrestlers documentary on him, where he talked about his emotional experience wrestling Chase Owens in the Super 8 tournament and other behind-the-scenes stories about his life in the industry. You should definitely check it out. In addition to that, to quickly run down all of his many accolades, Mike Law has competed everywhere from Canada all the way down to the Dominican Republic, and that long road was definitely paved with a lot of gold, as the Colossal One has captured the Catalyst Wrestling Sapphire TV title, the World 1 Championship, and the VPW New State Championship, as well as having won the Warriors of Wrestling Tag titles and the 2018 Warriors of Wrestling King of New York tournament. But in order to find out more about him, seriously, check out the documentary. Well, there you have it. Just 7 of the many great independent wrestlers out there. There are so many more that I couldn't possibly fit them all into one video. If you want another list, well, let me know about it in the comments, and also let me know about some of your favorite local indie talent as well. And please, give this video a big thumbs up, as well as making sure that you're subscribed to this channel and that your notifications are working. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, and as always, Dave Knows.
And that was Dave's list. Like I said, very cool list. Again, East Coast based. That would be my criticism of it. There needs to be more Central talent, West Coast talent. Some I'm going to throw out there just off the top of my head. A lot of the independents you see if you're watching AEW Dynamite, especially lately, there's been a lot of Texas. I'm not going to include Thunder Rosa. She's contracted to NWA, so she's not on there. But Alex Gracia is an excellent choice to throw in here. Alley Cat, if you know anything about the internet, Alley Cat is definitely an independent wrestler you need to follow. If you go back west, you have people like Dark Sheik, you have people like Ethan HD. You've got a big country to choose from. I mean, if you go to Chicago, you've got like Matt Nix. I'd definitely throw him there. But again, narrowing a field of literally hundreds of wrestlers down to 7 is a difficult task to do. So we'll see if he does more in the future. And you know, guys, if you like the way this video goes, let me know in the comment section below. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and yeah, there'll be more coming. I actually like this. This is a nice, kind of relaxing video, something I can just give my thoughts on while giving press to other friends of mine or other people I may enjoy. Be sure to check the links below where you can find Dave's video, IWTV and Title Match Wrestling. I'll put links to both in the description. I have a code for IWTV to get you 5 free days. I don't have anything similar for title match, but thank you guys. Enjoy it. Peace out, party pupils. I will see you next time.